What happens when a neighbor's obsession goes so far that it takes down the very system meant to keep everyone safe? That's what I'm about to tell you. And trust me, it's one of those stories where you'll find yourself shaking your head, maybe laughing a little at the absurdity, and then realizing, oh no, this could happen anywhere. So picture this, a quiet subdivision just outside of Houston, Texas. It's the kind of place where folks wave at each other on their morning jogs, kids ride bikes without helmets even though they should, and every Friday night someone's grill is sending smoke into the sky. Nothing too wild ever happens here. At least, that's what everybody thought. Now in this neighborhood lived Marcus Hall, a 41-year-old dad of two, the kind of guy you'd describe as steady. He worked as a systems manager for an engineering firm, drove a sensible truck, coached his daughter's soccer team, and had this Labrador named Scout who everyone in the cul-de-sac knew by name. Marcus wasn't flashy, wasn't loud. He was practical. And one of the most practical decisions he made was to install solar panels on his roof. To him, it was simple math: save money on the electric bill, shrink the carbon footprint, and as a bonus, the HOA struck a deal with him. They'd give him a small stipend every month if he let the neighborhood's security system run off his panels. Cameras, lights, the whole safety setup, quietly powered from his roof. And at first, it worked like a dream. Bills went down, the HOA saved money, neighbors had peace of mind, and Marcus felt like he'd done something good. But if you've ever dealt with HOA politics, you know peace never lasts long. Enter the villain of our story, Cynthia Morgan. Cynthia was in her late 50s, recently retired from real estate, and she loved nothing more than being on the HOA board. She was notorious for it. She once made her neighbor repaint shutters because the green wasn't approved, and she had no shame calling code enforcement on anyone whose grass dared grow half an inch too tall. Her whole reputation rested on protecting property values. But when Marcus put up those panels, gleaming like a black mirror under the Texas sun, she snapped. She called them ugly, industrial, said they ruined the uniform look of the subdivision. She brought photos to meetings, lectured about aesthetics, and every time Marcus walked in, he could feel her eyes stabbing holes into him. He tried to brush it off. Most neighbors rolled their eyes at Cynthia. But here's the thing. People like her, when they feel ignored, they don't just drop it. They stew. They plan. And one humid Thursday night, she acted. Imagine this scene like a movie. Cynthia parks her silver sedan right in Marcus's driveway at midnight, heart racing, trunk loaded with a 5-gallon bucket of exterior paint and a roller attached to an extension pole. She climbs out, slips on latex gloves, and mutters to herself, "This is for the good of the neighborhood." Then she scrambles up his shingles, knees aching, sweat dripping, and starts rolling thick black paint across those panels. Stroke after stroke, whispering like a mantra, "For property values, for property values." She didn't care that paint dripped down the roof, didn't care she could get caught. She was convinced she was saving the subdivision. The next morning, Marcus's wife, Tasha, spots it first. She's backing the car out and freezes, staring at the roof. "Marcus, what on earth happened to the panels?" He drops his briefcase, looks up, and his stomach sinks. $10,000 of investment smeared in sloppy black streaks. At first he thinks maybe some teenagers did it. But deep down he knows, it's Cynthia. Nobody else hated those panels like she did. He calls the police, but of course they can't do much without proof. And the irony? The very cameras that might have caught her depended on those panels. So all he's left with is suspicion and a sick feeling in his gut. Now here's where the real trouble begins. A couple days later, neighbors start noticing things. Streetlights flickering, then going dark. Security feeds showing static instead of clear images. Parents checking the HOA app and finding black screens. Group chat blows up. Anyone else's cameras down? Why are the lights out at the gate? Marcus finally admits it. His panels power the system. The vandalism didn't just cost him money. It pulled the plug on everyone's safety. And people freak out. A neighbor named Rick storms over, saying his wife doesn't feel safe walking the dog at night. Patricia, a retired schoolteacher, says she's seen a strange car circling the block twice. Parents tell their kids not to play outside after dark. The mood shifts from annoyance to fear. Then one night it happens. Patricia calls Marcus in a panic. She sees two men in hoodies by the playground, right where a camera should have been. Marcus bolts out with his dog and a flashlight, shouting at them. They scatter, peel away in a car, gone before anyone can catch a plate number. Neighbors pour out in their pajamas, voices shaking with anger and fear. Someone mutters, "If the cameras were working, we'd know exactly who they were." All eyes drift across the street to Cynthia's house, blinds drawn tight. The HOA calls an emergency meeting. And man, if you've ever been in a packed room where tempers boil, you can picture this. Marcus stands, voice steady but heavy, telling the truth. "The system ran on my panels. When someone painted them, they cut the power. That's why we were vulnerable." Gasps ripple. Then Rick points a finger right at Cynthia, shouting, "We all know it was you." She shoots up, red in the face, snapping back, "You don't have proof. I did it to protect property values." Those panels were an eyesore. The room erupts. People shouting over one another. "You endangered us all. My car could have been stolen. Our kids were put at risk." Cynthia slams her hand down, yelling, "You'll thank me someday when this neighborhood doesn't look like a junkyard." And that's when Patricia, calm but firm, cuts through the noise with a line that silences everyone. "You don't protect children by turning off the lights that keep them safe." It's cinematic. The whole room stares at Cynthia, her defiance shrinking, but she still won't admit fault. And Marcus, standing there, realizes the neighborhood's looking at him to act. They want him to press charges, to make it official. He doesn't want to. He knows it'll tear the community apart. But when his son later asks, "Dad, are we safe?" he knows words aren't enough anymore. He has to do something. So he makes the call, files the complaint, and soon squad cars pull up to Cynthia's house. Neighbors peek through blinds as deputies escort her out, stiff and glaring straight at Marcus's door. The self-appointed guardian of property values hauled away not as a protector, but as the reason everyone had been left vulnerable. Weeks later, the HOA votes her off the board, covers the cost of new panels, and for the first time, meetings shift from nitpicking paint colors to talking about real safety and community trust. Marcus's panels go back up, gleaming again, but now they mean more. Neighbors stop to chat longer, keep an eye out for one another, and the whole place feels tighter, stronger. Marcus, though, still reflects on it. He didn't want to be the center of drama. All he wanted was to save on electricity and do something smart for his family. But life handed him a bigger responsibility, forcing him to choose between silence and conflict. And when he chose action, it wasn't about revenge. It was about saying one person's obsession doesn't outweigh the safety of many. So here's where I'll leave you. Do you think Marcus did the right thing pressing charges, or should he have tried to handle it quietly? Was Cynthia just crazy, or do you see a little truth in her fear of change? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because stories like this, they're never just about solar panels. They're about power, control, and what it really means to live together in a community. And if you want more stories like this, true-to-life tales that make you think twice about neighbors, choices, and the fragile trust that keeps us safe, hit subscribe. There are plenty more ahead.